Okay, here we are, and back. We're doing 10 things at once here. We are going to talk this first hour about something that all of you who have friends, four-legged friends, dogs and cats especially, but this goes really across the spectrum. If you have a pet goat, horse, this is critical. And the idea is nutrition. And if you have any familiarity with BIOSUPERFOOD, you'll understand that there is really nothing that I've ever seen in 30 years that can compare to it. In terms of numbers of nutrients, it is so nutrient dense, it's amazing. It came from research conducted at the time of Chernobyl by Dr. Michael Kuryak, a Russian scientist with a huge staff. He had hundreds of people working on this. And he finally came up with the 4 most potent, powerful algae in the world as a combination. And among other things, those algae actually help chelate radiation out of the body. But when you're talking about algae, you're always talking about nutrition, extraordinary nutrition. And I have a couple of special guests here. Then we'll have Roland Thomas on in just a few minutes. Maybe he's there. Are you there, Roland? Not yet. I think we might have a bad number in the phone number. How about Diane? Are you there? Not yet? Okay. Well, we'll get her. Are you there, Diane?
I am.
Oh, you have a much prettier voice than Roland.
Oh, I love Roland's accent. How can you do without that?
Just kidding. No, you sound like you could sing soprano. He can't make it. He didn't. Anyway, we're trying to get him, and I don't understand. We've got the number. He actually typed me the number, and we're not able to get him on that number. So I'm going to do something real quick and email it.
And I wonder if he has another, perhaps he has another number that I have. Let me see if I can look up on my.
Why don't you go ahead, and we'll see if we can get that other number from you. Let me tell you his number. I won't give the whole thing out. It's 289-407, and then blank, 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 blank.
Okay, let me just see what I got here.
All right.
While you're trying to do that.
Wait till you hear the stories coming up. Don't go away. This is good.
I won't. Okay.
Do you see his number?
I'm looking right now.
All right, take your time. But as I said earlier, this is not just for dogs and cats, although it ought to be really something that you give all of your pets, dog or cat or both. You can put it in their. Go ahead.
My animals love it. Can't do without it.
Yeah, you can easily. What's that, Diane?
Go ahead. I was just going to give you those 2 numbers that I have, and you can see.
Can't do. Let's. Maybe I'm going to ask Todd if he can get you offline so everybody in the world doesn't hear the numbers. So you go ahead.
Sure.
Todd, go ahead and see if you can get Diane offline and take those numbers. This is I have a Sheltie, and he's been my dearest friend for a long time. You all understand. He's a senior dog and has the heart of a puppy, but the body just, and I feed him well. Nutritionally, it wasn't actually doing as well as I thought. I talked to Roland and I said, what would happen if I gave Whitney, that's his name, a BIOSUPERFOOD capsule? They're little green capsules. They're not big horse pills. They're little. And what would happen if I gave him one a day? He says, well, you better be ready for a surprise. And he wasn't kidding. Diane, were you able to do that number?
I gave him another number, and we'll see if we can't get them.
Okay.
Okay.
So I gave Whitney, my Sheltie, a single capsule of BIOSUPERFOOD. Mm-hmm. And I am not kidding you. Within 2, maybe 3 days at the most, he was acting like a puppy. He was running. He was jumping. And he had been limping, and he didn't limp. And I thought I'm looking right smack in the face of a miracle. He was so happy. His eyes were bright. It sounds like you've had similar similar experiences. I just feel so good about this that I've done something so special, and I do feed him premium quality food. So, yeah, tell us your story.
Well, I actually have a dog. Bella was a rescue dog that we got when she was about 6 weeks old. And when she was a little bit older, probably, I don't know, I think she was 6 or 7 years old, she unfortunately got bit by a tick that produces a neurotoxin, and it starts to paralyze the back legs of the dog. And she ended up in the emergency room getting IVs and trying to figure out what it was. And no one could figure out what it was until we found the tick in a very bad place, right out under her tail. And so by the time we had done that, she was quite ill, and it took her months and months to recover, and she was not very well at that time, even after months. And it was right about the same time I started on the BioSuperfood, and I said, what the heck, let me give it to the dog. And she's been on it ever since, and literally she is 14 years old right now. She's a lab mix, and there's a fox who comes to our neighborhood, and she's in great shape.
The fox
she does quite well for
eats the
herself.
BioSuperfood too?
No, no, the fox doesn't need it, I guess.
Just kidding.
She's quite fast, but for a 14-year-old dog to be able to chase a fox.
She can no, that's something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. And she's a great dog. She's, like we all love our pets. Andrea, who was supposed to be on tonight and couldn't make it, she had 2 dogs that were both Iditarod sled dogs. Oh. And she still has one of them, but Jerry, one of her dogs, had severe bloat, and a number of times it had to have operations, and was quite sick off and on. And when she started him on the superfood, he did brilliantly, and actually she actually wrote a book about her experiences with that. She and I both.
Just let me say this. It's that amazing that she would write a book about this, Andrea would, and it's not a joke. When you see what happens, first of all, you start to scratch your head and say, well, my God, the average person feeding low to middle grade dog food, they're poisoning their animals. They're causing their early death.
Jeff. I'm
Hello, Roland. What's that?
Good evening. It's Roland.
I think Roland's on.
We hear Roland, yes. Where you been, Roland? What you been doing?
Well, I was waiting for the 8 o'clock show.
Oh. Yeah.
That's okay. We're on. I don't know what happened.
We're on.
Put you in first position. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
That's all right. Now, we were talking about my dog, who has just been essentially reborn. Yeah, you're there, Roland. And
hello.
And Andrea can't be there tonight. Who am I hearing talking? Let's see what happens.
Hello.
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 Is this Roland? It's not. See, it's not Roland.
Yes, I'm here.
Somebody else is there too, I think. Odd. Anyway, okay, we got Roland.
I'm still on.
Dr. Roland Thomas, NMD, is the man who is in charge of this miracle product. And I know that's an old cliche, but it's a damn truth. It just does astonishing things. And the big problem is when you look at what happens to your pet, and you start thinking about, oh my God, well, I've been feeding him X, Y, or Z for the last 10, 12 years. And what if I'd have been feeding him BioSuperfood all this time to boost the nutrition and the nutrient load of the food I was giving him, assuming you're giving good food, where would I be now? But fortunately, the BioSuperfood has the ability to bring the dog past all of those years of substandard nutrition and recover most all of his vitality, energy. And since you take it, Diane, and your dog chases the fox and so forth, are you able to chase the fox any faster now?
Roland, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, I was telling him the story about how Bella, my dog that's 14 years old, chases the fox in the neighborhood every night. The fox comes and sits on my driveway and barks literally for her to come out and play. So the BioSuperfood has certainly kept her healthy for all of these years. So can't complain about that. She can outrun me still.
That's really wonderful. How's her body weight?
She actually stays pretty. I feed her grain-free food, just like you say. You give very good food to your dogs,
Right.
and as well as Andrea's dogs, same thing. Andrea's with the Iditarod dogs, they have to be very careful about what they feed them.
Right.
And honestly, all the dogs look beautiful. I also have a friend, Jennifer, that works with Roland and I sometimes, and she has a beautiful black lab named Abby, and everyone thinks she's a puppy, and she's the same age as Bella. Her skin, her coat is as shiny as can be.
Yeah.
And she is as healthy as a puppy.
This is amazing. Roland, how many years has it been now that you've been providing BioSuperfood for all of us here?
Just before I answer, Andrea sent me an email. She was supposed to be a guest tonight. She won't make it.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah.
Okay, so Diane will tell maybe her stories because she knows her intimately. They're good friends.
Yeah, we've touched on it a little bit. But how many years now has BioSuperfood been here under your auspices? And you're the man. So, was it 10, 12 years?
19 years.
Uh-huh.
19 years. Formed in Denver, Colorado when I was about to move back to Canada, retiring at 50 years old. In bad shape, and I was tired of business and wanted to retire early. And that's when I met Dr. Kiriak in Montreal, Canada. Mm-hmm. And I tried the product myself, and it was just overnight a difference in how I felt. And I went back to Denver to pack or something like that with a small group of bottles, and within the week I decided to help them out and stay in the U.S. And I was so excited, and it just began to transform me physically and frankly mentally and spiritually. I was like reborn with a will to do even a passion started to rise because I had felt the result of this product. And pretty soon afterward, I started to share it with friends and family, and I saw it happening everywhere. So that's why I'm still around. That's why I do this. And I'm 69 years old yesterday. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Roland.
Running the Niagara Falls Marathon next month.
Wow. How many miles is that? How many miles? 12?
42 miles.
Oh, come on.
Ask him how many marathons he's done.
I'm sorry, that's a K. That's kilometers. It's 26 miles, 0.2 or something like that, yeah. It's long enough.
Yes, it is. It'd be long enough
now,
on a bicycle.
You're all bragging about your dog. My dog, Maya, has been on this product since birth, since 3 weeks old. She's 15 years old, chocolate lab. Normally, it would be past 2-3 years ago, right? Chocolate labs have a lifespan of, some 9, 10, 11, 12, and we often see them limping and fat, very nice dogs, but they age and they're fed kibble and they don't live very long. Maya is 15 years old, which is about 100 years old in human years. She still jumps on our bed. She still jumps on her private couch. And she still runs around and tries to chase rabbits and squirrels, and has not been at the vet, nor has she ever been medicated. And I give her one or two cats a day. 15 years old, no vet, no bill, no disease, no diarrhea, no urinary tract infection, no tumors, no cancer, no problem.
15 years.
Yeah.
Astounding. Now, I would project, without any clinical evidence, but clearly hearsay is good enough, that if human beings were on this from birth or young age and lived their lives on it, they might have much the same kind of profile. That's really just a remarkable story.
I have no doubt, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I am 69, and if you will meet someday, I am lean and a little bit mean. Would you say, Diane?
Seriously, you need to ask them how they work.
But let me finish. I plan to live over 100 years old. I have no doubt. Mm-hmm. While my dad, at my age, was already with Alzheimer, had 2 bypass, emphysema, and he was overweight as well. Arthritis at 60 it began to affect him. So when
did he start on it? How many years ago?
My dad?
Yeah.
He never did. Never had the chance. Bless his soul. He passed at 83 of stroke related to emphysema, lung issue.
Right. Frustrating for you. Sorry to hear that. We have our times. The what I said earlier though, Roland, and we'll get to people in just a minute, but our pets, our best friends in many cases, who depend on us with unconditional love, deserve the best. And it's really a jungle out there when it comes to trying to evaluate even quality dog foods. You have to be careful. A quality name doesn't mean necessarily quality ingredients all the time. And you've got to be very sharp to be able to read a list of ingredients on a dog food bag. The fewer the ingredients listed, usually the better it is. And I use castor and pollux as the baseline. Mm-hmm. And it's very good. But when I introduced the BioSuperfood, I couldn't believe it. And I've had eyewitnesses, same thing. They say, my God, it's amazing. He's not limping. He's running. He jumps in the air to catch things.
Yeah.
And, I can't do that. So maybe I could, but anyway. It's amazing to see this. And I would urge all of you out there, just buy a bottle of BioSuperfood. You can find the link right there at the top of Rense.
Thank you for that. But let me tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
I met an American successful woman, retired, that joined the alternative, she was health arena as a hobby. She's 60 years old. Wonderful, wonderful human being. And she bought a property in Brazil to start a health spa for rich people with a helipad, and it's going to have a luxury resort. But there's 16 commercial fish pond on her property that are being managed by a local manager that she carried on hiring. And she has always talked to me about starting the BioSuperfood in Brazil. And it's very difficult, FDA regulation-wise, exportation, importation, corruption. But she has managed to bring in, through her son, a small quantity and she's been trialing it with one of the fish ponds. And typically, for 1 week, she gave me a report after 1 week. And what the manager there said is that they are voracious to come and eat on the surface of the water when they spray the feed, which has some BioSuperfood in it, and that none have died in 1 week, when typically many are found on the surface.
What kind of fish are these again, Roland?
They're either trout or another desired luxury type
All right.
fish. I forget the name of it. I have it written somewhere.
Do they throw the capsules in, or do they break the capsules open?
No, they break the capsule open and mix it. It's like 2 capsules for 1 kilogram of feed. That's all. Right. I mean, it's minimal quantity.
Right.
And when I told Dr. Kiriak, and he had told me that when we were talking about how to do the feeding, that they would become voracious because there's a great surge of energy in the beginning, and that they would detoxify also very, very much in the first few weeks. Anyhow, so as we were talking about that, he also shared another story with me. We're talking about animals. It's not just dogs and cats. Any animal. That when he came to Canada in 1996, he hooked up with a PhD student and professor at McGill University in Montreal, Canada, and to do a large poultry study, which he did. But he also did a duck study. I documented the poultry study.
Uh-huh.
If anyone wanted it, I could email it to them. But the duck study was very small. But what happened was that no duck died in this particular group from, if you wish, from the egg, or before the egg, all the way to delivery and survival. While in his test group, while the normal duck, several died, and the professor couldn't believe it. He was trying to challenge him, whether he was cheating. And Dr. Kiriak told me that he was clipping a part of the foot of a duck to prove to the professor that they were his, the one that were on the algae. Anyway, a cute story, but that's what happens when you feed any organism, human or animal.
This would suggest that across the board, dog foods, just dog food for a minute, they're all lacking. I don't care what it is. They're all lacking. The BioSuperfood has over 3,000 nutrients and counting, and just that small amount of missing nutrients can obviously synergistically work with many other things to give that dog or cat an incredible boost of energy, well-being, and just physical beauty. They just look great. No joke. Now, we've talked about dogs, and we're going to come back and talk. Roland, we talk about dogs a lot. You've had great success with cats, too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Moustache was a male ragdoll, and Chloe, was not his sister, but we got them pretty much at the same time. Uh-huh. They both lived 18 years.
Oh, that's good.
Moustache, we started him at 2 years old, and Chloe at 6 weeks. Moustache, before I found out about the BioSuperfood, had urinary tract stones or crystals and had to have surgery. Already at 2 years old, we had fed him the wrong food. We had fed him the classic kibbles. But once we started him on the BioSuperfood, that was the end of the vets. He lived 18 years. He died peacefully of natural cause by a fireplace in our home. He had been extraordinarily healthy and beautiful and silky. Right. I have unbelievable picture of it. It was like
you shared some video.
And no shedding. Yeah, you saw one of the video.
Yeah.
And his little sister, on the other hand, never had any vet visit because she started at 3 or 6 weeks or something like that. So it's wonderful. It's so peaceful to not have to be into medication and fear of diabetes or, other terrible disease and tumors and cancers and rashes and shedding and diarrhea. All those things that I hear, every day from our clients and from friends with their animals. And it's wonderful. And then, I can tell you, just to relate here to human, that before I started doing the BioSuperfood 18, 19 years ago, I had one bowel movement every 2 days, maybe sometimes one a day. And I'm telling you this because I just heard a report from a leukemia patient. Wait, I'll get back to this. But after I started doing the BioSuperfood, particularly the first 3 months, I started to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 bowel movements a day. And they were not unpleasant. They were coming out easy and smooth and well-formed, and it was unbelievable, And then I'm saying this because lately or over those years, it's typically 2, 3, 4 times a day. I know we're talking about poop, but I want to tell you something, and then we can come back to the cats, Jeff. Sorry. I was just speaking with a client who's trying to save her child from leukemia and fighting with a hospital, debating. And the hospital asked her if he pooped. And she said, yeah, he poops. They said, how many times? She said, 3, 4 times a day. And they said, well, that's not normal. Should be no more than twice per day. And she's like, in her mind, she's going, for Christ's sake, you plug them with radiation and chemotherapy for a week. Now he's detoxing, and his poops are well formed. They come out easy. He's happy. He's got energy. Anyway, so back to the cats.
Okay, Diane, do you have any cat stories?
I do have a few cats actually.
What did you say?
I fostered cats for a while.
Okay.
So I have quite a few cats.
Very good. Foster. Okay.
Yeah, my one cat just passed away this past year, and that cat was almost 18 years old, and I started him on the BIOSUPERFOOD. I've been using it for the last 10 years, and he was a stray that was in pretty bad shape when I got him. So for him to last 18 years was pretty amazing, and he was perfect right up to the end, and we found him in our bushes with his arms crossed, and that was the end of him, and he was perfectly peaceful and healthy and happy from the time we started having him take the F3. And the cat that I have right now, she's also a stray, and I told Roland I had a hard time getting the cat to take it in the beginning, but I realized what it is that you just need to dip the capsule in some water, and it makes it slippery, and then they'll take it. And same with the dog. You just dip it in the water, it makes it slippery, so you put it right in their food, and they eat it right up.
Right. I give my dog a tablespoon or two of organic baked beans. He loves them, and I just put the capsule in I put the capsule. I didn't even open it up. Just put it in the baked beans, and he eats it right up. Or I can open his mouth and put it on his tongue, and he'll swallow it. No problem.
There you go.
None.
Get a little treat with it too, then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is that no matter how good the dog or cat food is, it can be better. And it can be made better with the BIOSUPERFOOD called BIOPREPARATION on the site for cats and dogs and animals. Yeah, you could use them on horses, goats, it doesn't matter. You have a pet, you want to take care of it, that's the way to do it. The issue of human beings. What's the earliest you've heard of a child not giving them capsules, but being given the BIOSUPERFOOD algae, the product, Roland?
Oh, as soon as they can eat formed food or in their formula, sometimes children are...
Good idea. Mix it up, sure.
Yeah, definitely, let's say a half a capsule of the Formula 1 per day is beyond the wildest expectation of the human body. It's a surprise. It's a gift. It would add life to that child's life. It's a blessing if you can start that early. And it's really not a lot. Literally, it can be a capsule up to the age of 6.
Very good. Okay. Diane, Diane, when did you begin to take this for yourself? How many years ago?
I heard about it about 10 years ago, and I went to see Roland when he was at the Health Freedom Festival in Chicago.
Oh.
And I was so impressed with the product, I wanted to meet the person who was the president of the company and get a little more information, because I deal with a lot of people with health problems. I've been doing it for 15 years. My background is I was an ICU trauma nurse. I was 3 years out in Orange County, California. And I started trying to help people and doing private consulting. And I really felt that it was not necessary to just monitor medications and get nowhere with these people. I had to find a better way. So I had been studying natural health and alternative therapies. And when I took it, I was in shock, because I had recently been stupid and taken out mercury fillings without using a biological dentist. So I was mercury poisoned. I had all kinds of problems. I had gained weight. I couldn't think straight. My thyroid went bad, and I was on thyroid medication for 5 or 6 years. And I just didn't feel well. And so when I started taking the F3, within 2 months I was off my thyroid medication I had been on for forever. And I felt so much better. My head was getting clearer. My skin was getting clearer. I had energy. I started to lose some weight. The thing is, if you don't have any energy to go for a walk or go exercise, you can say you want to do it all you want, but if you don't have the energy, you're not going to do it. And F3, my people that I work with, that I provide F3 for now, they call it green speed, because it's so helpful for energy production and thought processing and just general overall health. They sleep better, they eat better, I deal with a lot of people with gut problems, and they don't absorb their food very well from all the inflammation in their gut. And this is such an easily absorbed nutrient product that I have only had one person in the entire time, and I order thousands of dollars of this for my clients. I've only had one person in the entire time, and I told Roland about that the other day, the entire time who wouldn't take it because she was afraid to be allergic because she was allergic to one of the, microalgae in it. Other than that, it's rare that I have someone not reorder. Rare. So
wow.
it helps every kind of condition, and I say this often to my clients. They always say, well, what kind of supplement should I take? And I said, well, if this is the money you have, there's only one thing I would take. If you put me on a desert island,
and you take
I would. There's no question. Yeah. There's not even anything in the same universe.
Diane, turn your head I think you're on the cell phone. Turn about 90 degrees, see if we can get you better.
Can you hear me now?
Way better.
That's better now.
Okay.
Now, Roland, not that we recommend this, but quite seriously, one could survive on this product if one had to.
I asked Roland that a long time ago.
Go ahead, Roland.
What did I? Well, and you've asked me a few times, Jeff, and when I asked Dr. Kiriak in the early days when I was curious about, and he had told me at that time that one could live with one bottle of BioSuperFood F2 per day.
Huh.
And the way I think after the fact, I realized the way he was calculating it is that 50% of each capsule is pure, complete human available protein. And figure out 180 divided, there's 60 gram divided by, there's 30 gram of protein in one bottle of F2. So that was his calculation. And I agree that I could live. I mean, our addiction are such that it would take me a few weeks to stop desiring sugar and all those good foods. But I think I could live on this stuff.
Right.
For other reasons, because we truly are energy being. We truly ultimately could, we're trained and brainwashed to think that we need to eat so much. But in reality, once we're grown, all we need to feed is our brain. And listen, I just wrote an article, 70% of Americans are overweight.
Yeah.
So I bring this up
it's pretty obvious that they're not just 5 or 10 pounds overweight. They're overweight.
It's an alarming proportion, and nobody talks about it anymore.
No. What we have now is the average physique of the majority of many Americans. It's completely different than it was 30 years ago. There's a big belly. It's just weird. It's not what we're supposed to look like. Yeah.
I have 9 siblings, and up until we were all in our 30s, nobody had an extra pound. We were all flat belly. We didn't have to do anything about it. It was just...
Sure.
And we had one large person in the small town where I was born.
Right.
And he was the fun of the town.
They used to stick out like sore thumbs, kid.
Yeah.
The occasional kid. I mean, we had one in our class or one in our school. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So,
part of that,
right.
I think, is the hormone.
Go ahead, Diane. What? Sorry, Diane?
Well, I think part of that is the hormone imbalance everyone has, and that's another reason why the BioAge BioSuperFood works so well. It helps coordinate those hormones. It feeds the part of the brain that helps coordinate those hormones. And if you look, the reason why these men have that, their testosterone levels are off, and their estrogen levels, and if your brain isn't functional, then your hormones are not going to be correct.
Right.
That's another thing that is just extremely helpful. With I use it for many women going into menopause. They don't. I didn't get any hot flashes, and neither did any of my patients that had this. So it gives you a good idea how well it helps coordinate the hormones.
Turn your head again where you were.
Right here?
Yeah. Now tell us what kind of work you do that you have patients for again.
Well, I own a company, a small business called the Thermography Institute, and I do thermal imaging testing as well as Oligoscan testing, which is heavy metal and nutrient testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see when I give clients the BioSuperFood, you can see their nutrients change on these tests. It takes about 3 months because the testing I do is done, it's spectrophotometry, and so it's actually testing through the skin layers at the tissue amounts of heavy metals and nutrients like your minerals like zinc and copper, those kind of things. And the amount of people that I test that are so far off the norm is very, it's a great amount, unfortunately. Even the younger people that I test, it's shocking how deficient they are in some nutrients. And what I find is if you can get them started on the BioSuperFood, you can start correcting some of that, because not only, like Roland says, it helps them correct the amount of nutrients that they absorb, but it also provides those nutrients in the brain function to be able to do the right thing to heal up the gut and to have them have better nutrition in general. So I can see it on my testing, and I can also see the improvement in their brain. The thermography that I do is called an Alpha 9000, and it actually shows me whether they've got lymphatic congestion in the brain, that kind of thing. So I can see very clearly when I retest whether there's changes in those parameters.
Now we have about 5 minutes left, and as all of you listening know, we are under a terrible, horrific assault of radiation from Fukushima. It has crossed the Pacific 7 years ago. It has come on shore, California, Washington, Oregon, and all over the United States. There's nowhere to hide. They found it in Vermont dairy cattle. I think it was 2 weeks after the first surge came. Went into the rain, went into the grass. The cows ate it. It was in the milk. They found it in the dairy cattle milk. Then, in New Mexico, there was another station that was testing the air, and 3 days after one of the explosions, they detected the cesium twins, 134, 137, which are only created in an explosion like you saw happen at Fukushima. We're facing an extinction-level event. No question, these nuclides do not dissipate. They're constantly accumulating in the environment, in the soil, in the plants, in the trees, and in us. And this product was devised to try to help people affected by the Chernobyl disaster. Roland, give us a few minutes on that. How does that work?
After the explosion, Dr. Kiriak had already gained a reputation for working with the millions of animals, the hundreds of test groups, not only for cancer, but for lower productivity in these large animal farms. And so he had, again, enough reputation that he was invited to Chernobyl at the weekly meetings as a scientist. And he was allowed to attempt to save back near his research facility, which was about 250 miles from Chernobyl, to work with children that had been displaced. They evacuated 150,000 people, and many were already affected with radiation health. And leukemia was prevalent in children because of their sensitivity. So he worked primarily with leukemia in children, though they were adults. And what he described was that the devastating degenerative conditions of the liver, of the bone marrow, of course, of the blood formula. And as we saw in the pictures in those days, some of you may recall of the loss of hair, of the eyes pushing out of their socket. The liver would be pushing out of the abdominal region. It was so inflamed. The way he described the benefits of feeding them the BioSuperFood was the reverse occurred. A regeneration starting with bone marrow and subsequently the blood formula, the balance of white cells versus platelet versus red blood cell, and regeneration of the tissue of the liver, which is a very, very strong regenerative organ, pancreas, etc. And many of these children that had the chance to be helped by Dr. Kiriak and his team have survived and are alive today. So that's the story there. It was not his mandate. His mandate had always been agriculture, animal research, but he had the opportunity, and for him it was the culmination of his mission in life, of his vision, of his desire, because he had wanted to go work on the human side because he had lost himself several members of his immediate family to pancreatic cancer. His father, his mother, a couple of his sisters, his grandfather. And he had, from the age of 14, he had wished to be involved with helping humans. And today, or since 1996, when he came to Canada, he's been involved in helping humans and with these formula. And he's working every day very hard, speaking to people all around the world and explaining how to use this formula to prevent these conditions.
Well, very good. I have been for years urging people to do what they can to try to arm themselves against the increasing radiation that we're all exposed to. This is the best thing, without question, that there is, that's available to us. Go to the page, read the material, and go ahead, Roland.
Well, I was going to say, if you can tackle advanced radiation ill to the point that you're near death and come back from that, imagine if you take it before being impacted by radiation. You will prevent the leukemia, you will prevent the blood disorder, you will prevent the thyroid imbalances, you will prevent the headache, you will prevent the subtle but obnoxious chronic symptoms that people have in America now, in California, everywhere. It's no longer just in California. People call us and they have all kinds of inexplicable malaise, and fatigue and so forth. So I urge people to try it. It's overnight. Literally, a great portion of people that try these formula, can feel the difference overnight.
All true.
It's pretty
Diane,
amazing. At least I did, yeah.
Well, it took me about a day and a half, 2 days. I'm pretty healthy, but not as healthy as you.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. I take it every day. It's just fabulous. Final comment, Diane, please.
Well, I can just only say that I've used it with clients for everything from gut problems, heart problems, brain issues. My mother. Oh yeah, it's because it's got the sulfur chains in it, and the sulfur is helpful for the heart, detoxing heavy metals. The big push right now in alternative medicine is actually mitochondrial health, and what you're talking about with the Fukushima. That causes damage to the DNA, and that DNA needs to be repaired. And what can get inside the cell, and how can the mitochondria, which is actually the powerhouse of the cell, which actually helps detox all those heavy metals, and how do you power that? And all these nutrients that we're missing are in this product, all of them. It is the powerhouse for the powerhouse of the cell.
Very good indeed. Okay, Roland. Last comment from you. We've done these programs before, and I hope all of you I only handle the best of the best. I don't have a lot of products, but what I have is extraordinary, and this is a phenomenal development for all of us. Roland, final word.
Well, it's guaranteed for 30 days, so buy a small bottle, try it.
What are you going to lose?
Yeah, if you don't, literally, return it, no questions asked.
Oh, come on. Nobody does that anymore. That's remarkable. So everyone out there listening, please avail yourself of that opportunity. 30 days, no questions asked. You don't like? Wow. Well, I have not met one person that I've given this to who hasn't been raving about it, literally within 3-4 days at the most. They feel it.
Yeah.
It's great. So, Diane, thank you for being here very much. We really appreciated it. Okay, you take care.
Enjoyable. Thank you.
All right. And Roland, thank you, as always. We'll keep at it.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Jeff.
stuff.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Diane. It was nice speaking with you.
Okay.
Good night, Roland.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
friend. Investigate. Good Lord. I didn't know it was an unconditional money back, 30 days. You have nothing to lose. Buy yourself a bottle. I know.